thank you everybody for joining us for this lovely evening of knowledge sharing. My artist name is BChang, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to our panel on mobile DJing. I wanted to open with the common conceit that a lot of DJs start out swearing that they're artists and they're above mobile DJing or playing mainstream music. I, for one of those DJs, right? When I first started, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna sell out and play mainstream music. I want to play breaks and house music and stuff. You gotta remember at the end of the day that DJs are entertainers, right? And if the crowd isn't into it, then you're failing at your job. When I started teaching kids how to DJ during their after-school program, I had to adapt to the new generation of tastes and flavors. Would it have served me to force them to learn with Frankie Knuckles deep cuts or like authentic German techno? Probably not. Kind of similar to how we teach regular music, right? When you're in school, you learn the classics. You learn Bach, you learn Mozart, right? But I think DJing is a little different. The most important difference is DJing requires context, right? There's an event happening, the people that are involved, either the randomness of the audience, or maybe they all are in a particular group, family, culture, what have you. Your listeners and dancers, they will be influenced by their own pop culture, and you can't control who will be there. But you can control what music that you play. So a little bit about mobile DJing, if you're not familiar already. Mobile DJs are full-service providers that bring the music, the speakers, and the energy for a celebratory gathering of people with diverse tastes and backgrounds. Weddings, birthdays, grand openings, corporate events, top 40 clubs are all common gigs for mobile DJs. The word mobile refers to the fact that these DJs generally bring all of the equipment to you, to your party. So we're hosting this panel, so our community of mostly club DJs and bedroom DJs can get some insight as to what it takes to add mobile DJing to their repertoire. DJing could be quite expensive once you factor in all of the time, the equipment, and the music. So picking up mobile gigs is one of the best ways to get a return on your investment. Personally, playing music outside of my own comfort zone has taught me so much more about the different genres of music and the craft of mixing. I'm a much stronger DJ now that I ventured outside the outside underground dance music. We have an accomplished and talented group of panelists up here for you tonight who are very generous with their time and their expertise to share with you. Unlike typical panels, we also invite the audience to share any insights that they may have on this subject as well. So, if you do have a question, just raise your hand. We'll pass the mic to you. Okay, so now to introduce our panelists. First, I'd like to start off with introducing DJ Ray, also known as Ray de Esteban. It's this gentleman right here.
Yeah.
So, DJ Ray has over 20 years of experience with weddings, quinceañeras, company events, and clubs. Ray is a house music fan at heart, and I've had the pleasure of seeing him in action when he DJ'd one of our very own weddings. So, thank you so much, Ray, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Next, I'd like to present Robin Reimold, sitting to his left. Robin is a CEO of a consulting nonprofit by day and a mobile DJ by night. She loves crafting organized, well-run experiences that resonate with every guest, regardless of the occasion. At some point, she dropped the Rockin' Robin from her name, and now goes by just DJ Robin.
That's right. A little bit of rock, but not that much.
Cool. All right. Next, I'd like to welcome Lewis White, directly on my left, a.k.a. DJ Screwface.
Yes.
His passion lies in Afrobeat, house, hip-hop, reggae, and R&B, and he loves to weave those sounds into every mobile gig that he does. He's all about playing good music for good people. And lastly, I'd like to all to meet Adam Paz right on the end. He has a unique perspective amongst our panelists, as he's a retired mobile DJ who transitioned to underground events after he discovered the magic of underground dance music culture at a regional Burning Man event. Although he traded disco for house and hip-hop for breaks, he's still a bit of a mobile DJ as he supplies a large professional sound rig to a lot of the major festivals that happen here in the Southern California area, and also warehouse parties. So please give them all a round of applause. for their time and expertise and for spending this evening with us. All right, so on to the questions. Most of my questions will be directed at a specific panelist. However, if any of the other panelists want to chime in and add something to it, or even if anyone from the audience has something that they'd like to share, they're most welcome to. We'll just make sure we'll pass the mic to you so you can get heard. All right, so first question. This one's directed at Robin. Robin, what made you decide to be a mobile DJ, and how has this profession added to your appreciation of music?
So I've always been a music lover, and even in elementary and high school, I was very much into theater and singing. But as the days went on, I was explaining to the crew here just before, I went off to college. I had a pretty set standard of music prior to going to college. And I went to college. It was a school called Slippery Rock University. It's a real school. I went there and I ran into a few people who were involved with the radio station. And they said, "Oh, you should come hang out with us. Come check out things." And I said, "Oh yeah, I like music. Okay, that sounds a little more cool than being in the choir." So I decided I'd go check it out, and I met the folks, and next thing you know, they said, "Oh, we can give you some time to play music on the radio." I'm like, "Really? That's kind of cool." And so because of that, it really got me very much interested in it. So that I caught the bug, in college, and then after college I had kids. I took a little bit of a hiatus, but I always wanted to get back to DJing and playing music. Music's always been so important to me. So I would say that's probably the way I got involved with such a diverse type of music. It wasn't just one kind. I was exposed to all kinds of genres, and so it was a great experience for me, and I met some of the coolest people, and people that are on radio even today are some of the people that I hung out with when I was back in college.
Yeah, music is one of those amazing things that brings people together, right? And you can tell the people who are really passionate about music tend to be a little bit more open-minded and welcoming and warm to others. So at least those who continue to find new music, right? Versus sometimes you get the folks who are stuck at their high school era, right? And they loved their childhood. But the true music fans, they're definitely a different breed, and I think that we all share that in common. So here's a question for the whole group. If something pops in your mind, please jump in. Is anyone currently or formerly a full-time DJ? Any of you guys ever do it like full time? No? Okay. So why is that? Why is it difficult to be a full-time DJ?
Define full-time.
Let's just say average 40 hours a week, but not like 40 hours behind the decks, like, traveling to the gigs, preparing your music, hauling all the equipment, all that stuff, like kind of like a full-time, or at least maybe not even 40 hours, like at least one gig on average, 3-4 nights a week, basically.
I think that's probably the problem because it's usually Friday and Saturday, occasional Sundays and occasional weekdays, so you're limited to 52 weeks a year. So that's what makes it tough to make a living full-time out of it unless you've managed to get yourself at a very low budget lifestyle. But I think that's probably the biggest hurdle to being a full-time DJ, and then if, for instance, the reason I kind of quit mobile DJing is because everybody in my life did things during the weekend. So I was missing out on a lot, and it got to the point where the money was no longer worth it because my secular job was doing enough, and I kept having to tell people, I can't go. So it kind of like the balance of the money's, the extra money was good, and it got to the point where I was doing well in my career, where because it does take, the average person does things during the weekends, the river trips, the camping that happens during the weekend. So if you're DJing 52 weeks out of the year, you're missing out on some of those things.
I think I want to add something too, that when COVID happened, there was a wake-up call too, that you can be a full-time DJ, but when something like that happened, and you just have to stay home and you got no income coming up. Pretty much primary from DJ, where you rely on gigs and you rely on parties, and all the parties are canceled. What do? There's no social security, there's nothing else. So that was a wake-up call for a lot of DJs too, you can, like my example is, I'm not a full-time DJ because I also have a full-time job, but I am full-time DJ because I'm 7 days a week, like literally on my phone, for the parties on the weekends, for the gigs that we do, out of state, and so you can do both at the same time, and you have to put all your eggs in the, kind of make a balance.
Yeah, I think something you mentioned to me before we got started was that you're booked for like 100 events this year, right? So that's quite a bit. That's 52. That's basically every weekend on average. So yeah. So I mean, kudos for you.
Thank you.
So for the folk, I mean, it seems like everyone here has had a lot of experience juggling both a day job and DJing. What are some, how do you guys do it? Like, are there any best practices, or do you just grit your teeth and bear it? Like, how does it work?
Be organized, 100%. I think is number one. Be organized. In my case, I had a job that is literally Monday to Thursday, and so I got my whole weekends. So I can travel, I can party here, I can work anywhere, and I can still do my job Monday to Thursdays. But for me, I will say keep organized. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Just don't book that party, Just there's so many tools today in your phone, like literally in your phone. Use it 100%. Take advantage of all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for me, when I was working full-time, Monday through Friday, I was fortunate enough to have a 8 to 5 job. But I would dedicate, let's call it Wednesday and Thursday, to just going out, spend 2 or 3 hours a night, Wednesday and Thursday, looking for new music, right? So it's that, and then arranging it, finding out what music goes in what crate, different remixes and things like that. Because for me, every party was a new experience. I don't like to go in with a set playlist. And then having the consultative conversations with my clients for upcoming gigs. So pretty much Tuesday through Thursday in the evening was prep. And then, of course, you work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And I would say, for me, it's the old Pennsylvania saying, make hay when the sun shines. Typically, I'm the busiest during special holiday seasons. I do a lot of holiday type parties. And so there's a lot of weekends that I'm Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm exhausted by the end of the weekend, but that's typically how I do it. It usually revolves around certain seasonal events.
Ray, how do you recommend a bedroom or club DJ get started with mobile DJing?
So pretty much, if you want to start a mobile DJ, and if you're a club DJ, you have to like it. You have to try it. You have to like it. It's not easy. You're the first one to show up, the last one to leave. And it is not only that. It involves you have to invest in your equipment. It's like never ending. You're always buying.
Yep.
And you need somewhere where to put your equipment. So you need to think on that. And you need to think how you're going to transport your equipment. And it's not only that. You have to do the time to load, to get there, set up. It's not a party. It's a job. It's a passion, and it pays. It pays really good.
It does.
But it's a job. Be responsible. And another thing is mobile DJ, no disrespect to the ADM, to the community, right? But we're talking about weddings. We're talking about Sweet 16, quinceañeras. People plan for years, and it's one night. Food can be bad. But if the music is bad, you ruin the party. So, in addition to be organized in your music, be organized in your equipment. One cable that is not working, you can be sued and you can ruin somebody's party. So you have to be organized in your equipment. You have to take care. It's your tools. So before starting and moving from, like you say, to mobile DJs, make sure that you like that you want to do that, and you're gonna have to put a lot of work on that. It's hard work, but it pays well. And at the end, there's nothing better than The music was amazing. We had a great time. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Adam, back when you were taking on mobile gigs, where did the most of them come from? Like, how would you get the calls?
Referrals was probably the best way because if you think about it, time is the most precious thing that everybody has. You can't get more of it, doesn't matter who you are, and it only happens one time. So like he mentioned, if the DJ screws up the party, it's a bad. So, and people know this. So if you are organized and you have the right music, even equipment, like if you start chinsing on equipment because it's too expensive, so you get the cheap stuff, you're gonna regret it. I've done it, and I'll never do it again. You know, you try to buy, this one's cheaper. You know, the specs are a little bit lower, but you're gonna regret it because the day that something happens during the middle of the party, or the day that buy extra cables, but have 2 or 3 extra ones. So what if it costs you a little bit more? But the day that it ruins it, it is the most stressful. I mean, I'm starting to break a sweat just thinking about those moments where I've had where left and right, just the cable didn't work. It just stopped working and I had to transfer it. But just make sure you have a little bit of backup. Don't go cheap on the equipment because if you're going, you can go cheap on the equipment if it's for your own home. But if people are gonna spend time and money and you're gonna do a wedding, the wedding that's one time a year, one time a lifetime sometimes, and if you're gonna ruin that moment for them, those 4 or 6 hours, whatever it is, of dancing, that you can't take it back. That's time is just so. When you do a good job, you'll get those referrals, and then when those referrals come, they won't even shop. It's just, how much do you charge? Okay, cool. I mean, I quit in 2018, and I still get phone calls from the wedding that I did, and then they have their 20-year anniversary, and they're like, hey, you did our wedding 20 years ago. Can you? I've been called. I did a wedding in Oxnard, and they called me back, and they paid me to go up to Fresno because they moved, and I did their wedding, and they're like, no, you did such a good job, because nobody wants to take that chance, because it is that precious, that time, so do a good job, get good equipment, and those referrals will make a difference, and because they'll just keep calling you back, and it takes time, but they'll tell people. I mean, if you think about it, a wedding, 200-300 people, 500 people, so all those people get to hear what you do, what you did. If you do a good job, those 500 people have just become your potential customers.
Sounds good. I'd like to share a little story that I had. Some of our community might know a DJ named Brisa Renee. She's been a part of our community for a long time. She hired me to do her wedding. So it's a big pressure. She's a personal friend. Stakes are high. I was DJing it. Everything was going great. Showed up early, had everything set up in time, lights and everything. Everything was great during dinner. As soon as the first dance came on, I played the first dance song. It was a specific song she wanted. Everything was going great. My second CDJ was not producing sound, even though it was producing sound the entire event before that. So I was like, oh my God, this is the worst, right? Turns out it was a bad optical cable, and it just failed during the gig. Fortunately, I had one in the car. I just ran out and got it and plugged it in, and everything was fine again. But if I didn't know my equipment and if I didn't have backups, I could have ruined her wedding, right? And it was a big hiccup, but she's a personal friend. She was like, it happens, you know what I mean? But just, I play that back all the time. Like, that's my waking up from a cold sweat kind of dream kind of thing.
And those kind of problems, 25, 30 years of experience, you still gonna get it, no matter what. Just be prepared as much as you can. If I can add something on the question, if you want to move a DJ and you're not quite ready and you're not sure what's going on, you can always go and work to a company. Start right there. That's what I did. On my beginning, I worked like 5 years for a company. They provide equipment, and you literally sometimes, you're not even DJing. You're behind. You're setting up. You're just, the helper. But you learn so much. And you listen, and you see what they do, what the other DJs do. And you pick up everything. You be a sponge. And when you're ready, they're gonna give you the opportunity. Hey, you know what? Can you do like you say, little segments? Can you do dinner? That's how you start. That's a good start.
Yep. Question for Lewis.
Yes.
What does prepping for a gig look like to you?
Jeez.
It's a very wide question, but just kind of the key points. Like, what are the main bullets that you hit?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a mobile DJ, setting up for a gig starts with a conversation with the client. Think about it. We are DJing now for, let's say, 4 generations, right?
Pretty much.
4 generations from different zip codes,
Yep.
different backgrounds. So to have a conversation with the client, what is the vibe you want to set? What kind of music do you want to have? What age groups are going to be, that you get an idea from them who's going to be at the party. And then I personally ask for a couple of songs from them that make them dance like nobody's looking. Please don't send me your shower playlist, right? Because they'll send you music and Drake's whining. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Drake, but give me a couple of your favorite dance tracks, and I spend time curating an entire party around what they're interested in. What do I do to prep? Practice. It's not enough to just accumulate the music. You have to figure out, because I'm a beats first DJ, right? If the beat's not pushing, I play music people can feel, you know what I mean? Hence the Screwface. Anyway, so I need to know sonically what is going to get people moving. So experimenting with the different remixes and things like that, giving people a unique experience. Then, of course, like you say, make sure you check your equipment before you go. Do one last check before you leave for the gig. I get to the gig at least 2 hours early to make sure I set up. I remember a gig I did. I got there because of what I had to load in. I got there 3 hours early and realized that I left my USB cable home. I left my cable bag home. So I had to actually run to Best Buy. But you know what I mean? So allow yourself enough time for something to go wrong. And make sure you're set up before guests arrive. But consultation, practice, organization, and planning to get there early enough for something to go wrong. Basics.
Could I add a couple things
Yes.
to that? So whether it's a wedding or a special event, especially I'll use a wedding as an example. Oftentimes there's so many things they don't think about that are going to happen. The cake cutting, are they going to do a dollar dance? Are they going to, there's so many different things. I've had parties where they're doing the shoe game. There's just so many different things that could happen. And a lot of times a song needs to be revolved around that. So I actually usually do, especially for a wedding or a bigger event, an in-person one-on-one consultation with the bride and groom, sometimes the mother-in-law. We're sitting there talking about what their expectations are. But, I'll drop a couple things. Like, there's a company called DJ Intelligence. You can go on to there. It will list the top 100 songs for first dance, cake cutting, mother daughter, mother son, the whole 9 yards. It gives them ideas because, obviously we could come up with that, but it might not be the right fit for the crowd. So it gives, I always, recommend that they take a look at that. It gets their juices flowing. It gets them thinking about what they do and don't want to have happen. I've had, are there any you shall not playlists? That's really important as well. One wedding, there's a second wedding, and I was told no matter what the bridal party tried to pay me, I could not play Oops, I Did It Again. So it's one of those things, do not play it. We know they're going to try it, it's really important. And, the bride and the groom really appreciate that you're taking that extra time. So I recommend, like he said, a couple songs, you can work around that. But there's so many different things that you need to kind of have an idea of what they're expecting to set that proper tone.
Great. Okay. So another question for the group is, what's the typical gear that you would bring to, a typical mobile gig?
Well, I usually just 2 tops, 15-inch, and 1 sub. If you want to do 2 and 2, that's great, but I've usually never had any issues with somebody's complaining that 2 tops and 1 sub is not too much, and that's bare minimum. I think if you don't have a sub, then you can't feel the music, so you kind of need a sub. You don't need 2. 1's usually enough, because if you think about it, even if it's a big wedding, everything gets condensed to the dance floor. So if you're right there by the dance floor, you don't have to spread. As a matter of fact, it's probably even better, because then those that don't want to hear the music, some of the older people that it's too loud, they can go to the outsides of the room, and you're not flooding the whole room, the whole banquet hall, or whatever it is. You just kind of want to focus everything to the dance floor, and I feel 2 tops, 15-inch, and a sub is generally bare minimum, and that'll get you by for the most part.
2 tops, 2 subs for me.
Yes, 2 top, 15. You can go 150 people. Pretty good with that.
Mm-hmm.
I only go subs when it's paid for. Like, yes, I don't use subs all the time. They're too heavy. Only if it is a bigger crowd, it's just convenient. Obviously, you sound so much better with the subs. There's no question. It's just a question of how much they pay. It depends. It all depends. We can go on that. How much are you charging? How many people? And what are you taking? 2 tops, 15 is pretty good. You sound good up to 150 people. You'll be good with that. And of course, your controller, whatever you use, that's up to you. The computer, whatever you use. Lighting, depends. If it is a house party, if it is a wedding, it all depends. You can go 2 mobile lightings. You can add up lighting if you want. That's totally up to the weddings, the party, whatever budget they have, they're working on. There's different packages that you can use. That's what I use, different package where people can select. It can be a low budget wedding. It can be, high core where they want everything on it. So it all depends.
Everything's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Adds on, yes.
And since we're talking twos, I also do recommend 2 microphones, because running back and forth trying to, if somebody wants to make an announcement, obviously, like at a wedding, you have the toast and things like that. You don't want to have to be running back and forth. It's always nice to have 2 microphones, and one typically goes out. So it's always nice to have a microphone set that has 2.
And a little trick that I used as far as for lighting is concerned. People like decorative lighting, and people like party lights. Sometimes the party lights, as long as they're flashing and stuff, it doesn't have to be too high-techy. So a trick that I did is I bought a bunch of up lights that, like par cans, that are either battery or... Battery's nice because you don't have to plug... But if you cable everything, that's fine too. And I offer them you can pick whatever color you want, because you can RGB and spread them out all over the room. 8 or 10 of them are almost more than enough for any size room, where you just spread them out, so then the room just glows in a particular color that they like, and they could basically pick whatever the color they want. And then you tell them when the party starts, you just start. If they're syncable, that's great. If not, then you move a couple of them by the dance floor, the same lights, and you flick them to party sound active mode. So that's a very simple. It adds a little, it adds a little bit of ambience, and it's not too much for you to carry. They all fit in a bin, and you can charge a little bit of extra, and they get 2 for 1. They get the ambience for the dinner, and then they get the party lights. It's nothing. There's no moving heads or anything, lasers and like that. But most times they really don't care, unless the only time they really care about the lasers and the lights is in the fog machine. Actually, fog machines I don't even use anymore, because I stopped using them because of the fire systems. Most venues, it's pretty much don't even turn on the fog machine. So and if you don't have a fog machine, that means lasers don't do anything, and neither do scanners. Or the moving heads. It's almost pointless. It's just that it takes the fog to make the effect look better. So little par can, battery operated, even better. Mood lights, and so they get a 2 for 1 deal, and you can charge them, an extra whatever you want, whatever you feel is worth it to you. But it's something that's easy, portable, and since it doesn't take that much more effort to charge them a little bit more for the little bit of extra time it takes you to set up 10 lights.
Awesome. So we talked about all the equipment that we have to bring, right? How about getting it to the venue, right? I drive a Honda Fit. It's like a tiny car, but I can shove my whole sound rig in it. It's pretty impressive. But as soon as someone wants lighting, then I got to hire on someone to help me. Actually, we have a person in our audience who actually helped exactly with that. He has a giant truck, and he helped get us all the rest of the stuff to the gig. So, like, I know, Ray, you have a van, and it's actually parked in the front here. It says your name on it. It's awesome. Looks great. Like, what do you recommend as far as vehicle? And for the, like most DJs starting out can't just buy another car to do it. So are there any creative ways around just a larger car to getting stuff there?
Just work with whatever you have. That's how it starts. Whatever you have. I start with a little van. Just a SUV, I'm sorry. Actually, I still have that SUV. And then I moved when I got a little more gigs and I started doing bigger speakers and more lighting and all that. It's like, okay, I need to invest. Again, in this job, you're always going to have to invest money. But believe me, the money that you put in, you get it back right away. Of course, you have to do your part. You have to do your marketing. You have to do your job. If you do a turbo party, nobody's going to call you back. So that means that you have to put your hours in your house. You can have the best equipment. If you're not a good DJ, nobody's going to call you. Put your time. Put your effort. Invest. You're going to get that money back. And yeah, just start with whatever you have. And then you can rent. It's not that expensive. You go U-Haul and you rent. And there's no embarrassment to do that. If you have to do it. When you have money, when you can invest a little more, you open your company, you can invest in a truck or in a van, in a bigger one, or even a trailer. There's nothing wrong with that, yes.
You just made me think of something, though. It has to do with the preparation. It's always good to either walk the floor of the venue that you're going to be at prior to going, or talking very, very closely with the planner or the persons that work at the venue, because you don't want to be surprised the night that you show up and find out, oh my God, there is no way for me to get up there. There's no elevator. I'm expected to carry all this up. You need to know that in advance, because oftentimes they just forget about the fact that, oh, DJs need to get their gear in here. It's an afterthought oftentimes. And so that's something also, everybody uses different kinds of dollies, different types of things to be able to help you get things up. But there are times that there's venues that they just do not have an elevator for you to use, and you need to know that in advance, because you need to add on that extra time in advance for it.
Great tip. So Adam, how do you organize your music library for a mobile gig versus, say, one of your club gigs? Is there any differences there?
For mobile, I kept everything genre style, like funk, 80s, top 40, swing. Remember, when you're doing oldies, when you're doing weddings, you're, like you mentioned before, the age group is just huge. You got grandmas and grandpas to little kids. So I basically did the best of, for the most part. A lot of people like to hear the familiar funk, play that funky music. It's been a while, but there's so I had the best of, basically, that I had my own thing, and then I had other stuff in case that obscure music that didn't play so often, but I'd have my own little sections of 80s and funk and whatnot, top 40, and then of course the new stuff. I always had a new one so that I knew that, hey, this is where all the new stuff goes. And what actually was kind of nice too sometimes, especially since the days of when you had internet, when you can get on a mobile hotspot, that was kind of cool, because then as people would come I didn't mind requests so much, because that actually helped me. If there's some music that I didn't really know, people would come up and request it. I'm like, okay, and look it up real quick while I'm on the computer. And I had a laptop, I was using Serato, and it was nice to be able to download something on the spot and be able to throw it on, and if it worked good, then great. 'Cause sometimes there's music that I didn't know that was around and somebody liked it a lot, or they didn't tell you about this one song that the family loved. You kind of want to ask ahead of time, but they sometimes forget, but all of a sudden somebody, the groomsmen, oh, if you play this song, everyone's going to get out there. You're like, oh, you may want to I'll listen to it ahead of time, but that's how I would group it. And then for the stuff that I do now, it's mostly house tech. I keep my music organized by how the groove is, you want to call it. There's some beats that are just either hard or very bouncy or funky, and that's kind of how I organize it, so that if I like to weave myself through little bits and here and there, because when I used to do a wedding, if I would see an older couple, they're just sitting there the whole night, and I feel bad, like they want to dance too. So I then slowly cut into some oldies, and then sure enough, they get out and they do some swing dancing, some Glenn Miller, just some really old stuff. But it got everybody, and I'd have, if it was for like, let's say older stuff, swing music, I wouldn't play a whole huge section of it, but I would keep 5 or 10 songs that were the popular ones that I know would get those people up, and it would make them happy. And if when the bride and groom see their grandparents out there dancing, and everybody, the kids dancing, uncles, aunts, Latinos, anyone, when you get everybody involved, that's when you have to be versatile. I did a party one time. I still remember to this day, a wedding. And as soon as I started playing some disco and some funk, the bride came up to me and she was just like, do not play like this typical, she didn't want the typical wedding. And I was just like, but all your guests are having fun. But nope, she was nothing disco, nothing 80s. And it was probably one of the worst experiences I had, because a lot of the parents and older ones were like, can you come up? And I'd be like, I'm not allowed to play this. I don't know how else to tell them that, sorry, the bride, nope. And the fact that I couldn't play the variety of music, it just hurt. By the end of the night, it was when everybody, but at the end of the night, if you only have a couple of stragglers versus a full room of and you end it and everyone's cheering, then you did a good job. But if you stick to one type of music, and then those people will stay, but everybody else peters out, and at the end of the night, you'll have a few people left over, and that just, you want the variety. You just have to figure it out. I like the variety. I've always loved a variety of everything. I love some disco. I love some funk. I love some 80s. So to me, it came naturally. It's, and if you're not used to that kind of stuff, it might be a little bit more difficult, but you got to have a variety. It's just, especially at weddings when you have a huge age group.
Can I add something to that? So some people, I like to plan in advance. And so I usually figure between 2 to 3 minutes a song. So if you know how many hours you're going to be playing, I like to have a list ready to go typically for my set. I create a set list. Not everybody does that. I'm not a full-time DJ, so I don't feel comfortable just winging it as much anymore. I do put little chunks together. And so I always make sure that I have enough chunks that I know that I'm going to have enough time, that it's going to be enough music if things go haywire. Always I have way too much planned in advance, but it's better to have that than not enough. So if it's a 3-hour gig, okay, because we're mixing songs, we're not playing it from the beginning to the end. So again, 2 to 3 minutes. Also, I'm doing a prom this weekend. It's at a Christian school. I make sure I have my clean music lined up too, and I have little notes if there's songs with words in it that I can't use, because that too can cause a lot of mayhem if you're playing the not so clean version. And sometimes you'll be surprised, a Justin Bieber song has some words in it that, we should not be playing that in a church school, So, but the 2 to 3 minute thing is something I usually work on too in organization.
Cool.
30 songs per hour.
Yeah, the whole church thing for me too. That's actually how I got a lot of my gigs. They realized I was able to censor it and keep it kind of clean. No and people appreciate that a lot. So if you can get radio edits, just get them. I know it's not the original song and it's not going to be, but get the radio edits. It's because then those parents or those grandparents and anyone who realizes, oh wow, that was clean fun. And the other DJ, they went to a wedding where people got awkward and it got weird because You don't want the F-bombs here and there. And that puts a bad taste in as a DJ if you do that. And if you don't, yeah, it may not be the song, but for most weddings and family parties, you don't want
Okay.
F-bombs and stuff.
All right, moving on. Lewis, what are some of the most important clauses that need to be in your DJ contract that you're so glad are there?
You know, I'm a big fan of deposits. So I charge a 50% non-refundable deposit because I think it's important that the client is sure this is something they want to do. So that's the biggest thing for me. I also transfer the safety and risk accountability to them. So in my contract, I say that they are responsible to make sure that the venue is safe and adequate for people and all that kind of stuff, and put that on them. Because I've had a couple people like to make DJs responsible for any and everything that'll happen. So I do that, and I put it in the contract that my final payment has to be paid before the event begins. It's funny. So as a as a mobile DJ, the party is great, but by the end of the night, everybody is drunk.
Yep.
You can't find the person who's supposed to pay you. I did a party in Beverly Hills one night, and the birthday girl and her boyfriend got in a fight. He was on this, not a physical fight, they were breaking up. He was on the side of the pool crying. The girlfriends were off in another room. Gig's over, and I'm sitting here like, how inappropriate is it going to be for me to go ask somebody for money? So, just make sure you get paid. And then I do the add-ons, right? Because it's important, I think, that you value the service you're providing for people. So they are paying for your time, your talent. I subscribe to 4 different music pools. I practice a number of hours a week. And then you think about it, the 2 hours before the gig, the 4 to 5 hours of the gig, the hour to break down, and I service Santa Barbara to San Diego all the way out to Palm Springs. So if it's over a certain amount of mileage, I charge the mileage. So all those things, because they're paying you for your time. And make sure you value that for yourself. When I started, I'm like, I just want to play good music for people. And, I've only got this amount of money in my budget. Great. When you're ready for me, call me back. Be willing to walk away from the table. But anyway, those are the things that are important to me.
Can I also add that it's a reasonable expectation that they should be able to provide you some source of power? I know that sounds silly, but you'll go, or I've had that on the way, and so you have to get that in advance, because on the way, you don't want to get a phone call and say, oh, by the way, do you have a generator? We should have talked about this beforehand, so that's something that you have to be very careful of. You do some of these events in a park or whatever, you need to say, you need to be able to give me this type of a power source, know in advance. I always bring my own table just to, cover myself, to make sure I have a table, because there'll be times that they don't have a table or skirting. There's all kinds of things that you need to bring that type of thing. But the power thing, and also if you're doing parties and gigs outside, that you have cover to protect yourself and your equipment should there be inclement weather, so you can bring your own canopy if you want to, but that's something I think that you also need to be able to set up in advance with them.
And I charge for that. If I have to bring my own canopy, I'm telling you how much I get petty. I ask the question, are there stairs?
Yep.
The stairway to heaven. I've got a spot I DJ at in Orange, in Dana Point. Oh my God, I charge for stairs, because like you said, you might have to hire somebody to help you get equipment up those stairs. Ask those questions.
All right, so Robin, what other services besides the actual act of DJing do you offer at these mobile gigs?
Well, I used to be an elementary school teacher back in the day, so oftentimes I do a lot of family and children type, school type gigs, things like that. So I always have some games and ideas in my back pocket that I like to throw in there. So that's typically what I do. I do MC. I do create I prefer that they have an event planner planning things, but I can do some of that event planning for them, do that extra work, creative ideas on decor and things like that. But I would say my thing is I always have especially for the younger kids, some sort of fun games and activities planned always, and prizes. I always bring prizes. The people that book me always love that because it's like, oh my God, they're thinking about, the fact that the kids want to have fun too. So I typically do that. So that's probably my answer on that.
Awesome.
For weddings, you'd be surprised how many venues don't have, or they charge an exorbitant amount for a ceremony setup. So small little speakers like this, very easy. The microphone, wireless mic, that would take you very minimal, lightweight, but you can charge, you're already there, you already drove there, and if the venue's charging $700 for a ceremony setup and you come in at $300 because you're already there anyways, it's very easy. I mean, you just have to come in a couple of hours early, if that, and you can make a little bit of extra money with a small setup that doesn't take much effort, and that's always an extra, is like, because they expect you at the party, but then do you already have a ceremony set up? Oh, I don't know. And then you just say, well, this is how much it is, and you already kind of figure out it's only an hour extra, because it's usually a generally quick setup, especially if the ceremony's out in the gazebo or out in here. It's very easy, and again, make sure you have power, because those are the times where you're going to get caught without power, or make sure you own a 100-foot extension cord.
Yes.
Ray, how do you put a price on your gigs? Like, what's the formula that you come up with to say this isn't this amount of much gig or whatever?
So pretty much what I do, my formula is ask questions. First of all, what kind of event? How many people? It's not the same to take equipment for 50 people than 200, 500, whatever. How many hours do you need me there? Where is the event? And what different, you can, based on that, you can offer different package. When it comes to a wedding, he already mentioned the ceremony. You can also do the cocktail hours. It's something that you can add on. Do you want special effects? You want the CO2 guns? You want the sparkle machines? There's so many things that you can charge on. So what I do, basically, I have 3 different packages. House parties, weddings, quinceañeras for 150 people, and then more. When it's 200 and more people. Those are my 3 basic package. And then you add on whatever. Again, my packages are for 4 hours. You need me for 6 hours. Well, it's going to be $150 extra per hour.
Per hour, yep.
Things like that. And your ads on. Oh, you want televisions? Yeah, let's put some televisions. Oh, you want a screen with the video screen? Yeah, no problem. So everything adds on. All right? So I will say, first, what kind of event? Where is it? How many hours? How many people? That's your basic questions. And then the rest is just add-ons.
What's the average price range for like your typical wedding?
So yeah, anybody can go to my website. It's pretty public. My basic, for 150 people, I think our package is for 700, 4 hours. And then 150 extra hour. That's basic, right? We're talking basic speaker, some lightings, basic, nothing add-on. You can add the up lighting, you can add the sparkle machine. I'm looking at my wife because she's the one who takes care of the phone calls, right? I do the job, she's the one doing all the phone calls. You can add up lightings, you can add the sparkle machines with CO2 guns, televisions, big screens. There's so many things that we can add. We're doing photo booths right now. There's so many things that you can add. Basic, what I do, house parties, 600, 500 4 hours, and then 125 for additional hour. 700 up to 150 people, and 900 for 200 people, 4 hours, 200 every extra hours. That's basic package.
Cool, thank you. All right, a question for the group. How do each of you sell yourself as the right DJ for a client? Do you have like a website? Do you have like a presentation? Like what kind of things do you put out there to earn that business?
Well, when I got to I've only been in California 6 years, so I had to start from scratch, building my clientele. I hate to say this because I don't want the market to get busy, but hey, it's all family. Getting started for me, there's an app called Thumbtack. I don't know if anybody's familiar. I started on Thumbtack, and I kind of took a look at the market to see how much people were charging, found myself to be reasonable, get your reviews up on Thumbtack, and then once you start doing a good job for people, repeat business will come in. The thing I found, so I come from the East Coast, coming out here, y'all hire a DJ for anything out here. Craziest part, I did a birthday party for a cat. Cat was walking around in the backyard with a birthday hat on. The check cleared, I showed up. You know what I mean? So Thumbtack, word of mouth, and don't be afraid to do a party for any kind of event. Right now, I do the adult special ed party for Corona and San Bernardino. I have a client, oh my God, he is one of my favorites. I've been doing his birthday, he has autism. And he and his friends, I've been doing his party for the past 4 years. It's a just don't say no. Just don't say no. And your clientele will eventually build up.
Funerals.
Well, nice.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I never did one, but I send quotes for funerals.
Nice.
You'll be the life of the party.
Kill him.
No, it's true. People hire DJ for anything, and you can do it. You gotta be open-minded too. Just being a DJ doesn't mean that you're gonna actually be scratching and DJing and all that. No, maybe just right on the side, just playing one video the whole night. Or there was there was a funeral where I was hired not to DJ, just to play video. I was just put my video screen and the projector, and we were just playing. There was a video with the pictures of the
Deceased,
dude, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. So mobile DJ, it doesn't only involve you actually playing music. It can be open to many things. I do gigs right now for real estate. Every single weekend, I have a team that works for me, and we go all over the country. Last weekend was LAX, and it was Houston. Next weekend, it'll be Washington, D.C., and it's for real estate. I'm a mobile DJ company, but we provide AV, video, sound, microphones. So it's not me DJing. I'm providing a service. So be open-minded that you can do anything. It's not only scratching and all. I actually don't scratch. So.
I would say just let your work be the best referral. Honestly, I would admit, I have a full-time day job, and if I actually spent some real time, I could probably grow the business a little more, but I just, and I just had a recent client show me, they put me on their preferred vendor list, which is also nice to have. That's an honor to be put on somebody's preferred vendor list, but it just goes to show that they can trust what you're doing. One of the reasons why she said she really liked the fact that when it was time for things to be done, I actually finished up the party. Some DJs like, oh my God, we're having so much fun, let's keep going, and no, okay, we're gonna wrap this up because she wants to get her staff out of the door too. So I'd say just with referrals for me.
Cool. Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to maintain your relationships in the DJ community, right? Because you can get referrals from, if I'm busy.
Yes, I agree totally. We work together. Actually, we pass party together.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other DJ, and don't be a hater. Don't be a hater.
Yeah, no.
There's work for everybody.
I have a gig this Friday because of Lewis, and I'm passing a gig to Ray
for me
later this month.
Yes.
Nice.
I add to that 100%. Brian's fed me gigs. I have a friend, Dice, he's given me gigs. You know what? I'm going to give them right back to him if I can't do it, because that's what it's about, because they want to know that if you can't do it for some reason, you can give somebody they trust, and that means the world. I mean, you definitely... That's why I love DMI. I love this group. That's when I moved out here. It meant so much to meet people that are real good people. They're not shady. They're in it for the right reasons.
It's so hard to find somebody that you can trust and you can actually send. There's a thing, and I'm gonna tell this story between you and me, right? When you asked me to do that school party, you were like, hey, trying to get my referral back. And I was like, no, you figure it out and you hire me to do it. It's hard to find somebody to work, somebody that can actually show up in there. This is not some regular job that you can call sick. You have to show up.
Right.
The show must go on, right? So it's hard when you find somebody. It doesn't matter if you like Dice. She just mentioned Dice. Dice used to work with us. It's somebody reliable. You give it a day. The dude is gonna show up and he's gonna perform. And he's gonna do a really good job and he's gonna put your name on there. So if you find a friend or anybody, family that it can help. My nephew is working with us. It's been 6 months that he's working with us. He's reliable. We send it all over the country for us because we can trust a guy. It's not easy when you got somebody that you don't know. He has to take an airplane and go to the other side of the country and show up on your name. What do you do if the guy doesn't? You never know. I had somebody who never show up and I had to literally drop a party and go because the guy never show up. So when you find somebody is a DJ that you can trust, don't be a hater. Work together. There's work for everybody.
And I would say self-promotion also. Sorry, last thing, Brian. Because sometimes, especially as a mobile DJ, the clients that you're dealing with, they don't know you. They don't know how well you DJ. They have no idea. So I have several pre-recorded mixes. And if they say, well, can you send me something? So I send them a quick 15-minute, 30-minute mix so they can hear the type music I play, the way I mix, the energy I bring. And of course, that's based on what they say they like, right? But have something that you can send them to show them the quality of your work because you're selling yourself, and that's important.
Great tips, everybody. So let's mentally transition from all the prep work before the gig to actually being at the mobile gig, right? So, Robin, what's your most favorite memory of DJing a mobile gig, and how did it leave a mark on you?
Honestly, I don't know if I have one single favorite memory. I've had emotional ones where he mentioned a funeral, but it was one of those situations where the gentleman had cancer and he only had 3 months to live. How heavy is that? He said, no, I want this to be a party. I want this to be a celebration of life. I want to have a good time with the people around me. And you're bringing that to them. And oh my gosh, I mean, it makes you think that, what you're doing is even above and beyond who you are and yourself. And then, of course, I love working with families and kids. And when I can see families and kids out there dancing together and having memorable moments together, there's nothing better than that. So, I've had so many amazing experiences. Brian helped me. I kind of laughed about it, but it was a reception, but it was in Las Vegas during EDC week, and the reception happened to be at Zouk nightclub. I'm DJing EDC week, I mean, I don't think I'd ever, be able to say that. So I have so many different things that make them my favorites, but, you take something away from every one of them, and some of them do blur together, but there's a lot of very special moments.
Awesome. So, question for the group is, can someone define what reading the room is and how it's done?
That's probably the most difficult question at all. Every party is different, and the people in the party is different. I don't want to be a hater, but when you have club DJs, people who go to clubs, they're ready to party. People who go to clubs, they want to drink and right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that the DJ have an easy task, but they're ready, they're
primed.
Yes.
They're primed.
When it comes to a wedding, you got the grandma, you got the little kid, you got the bride, you got the drunk guys, but you also have the guy who never never go out. So it's kind of hard to read, So you gotta try. You gotta try with different genres. Know your music, and I think the knowledge that you have, like your experience, kind of give you what it works and what it doesn't work. Don't be afraid to use the YMCA. If you have to use it, it works all the time, right? The cha-cha's like, oh my God, it's so old. I don't care. Use it if you have to. Yeah. It depends. It's cool parties, they keep asking for the cha-cha's like, I hate it.
Yeah.
but it work. So just read in a way that know what it works and what it doesn't. Sometimes you have these people asking requesting songs, and oh my God, you gotta go and download this song and you listen to it and it's horrible, and you play it and it work. Save that song, you know. What I do in Serato, you can put colors on it. Blue color works for me. Every time that I have a song that it works great, I put a blue color. I go to another school, that song work. You'll be surprised. So, trying to answer your question, it's kind of hard to read. I think it's more based on experience. Whatever you work, just be a sponge. And if it works, keep it for you. Save it. Do folders with the music that it works. Talking about how do you organize your music? Yes, you can go pop music. I have pop music, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. But also, do your folders with the people that actually work, because you don't want to go to your folders and you have 10,000 songs. Do your folders with 20 songs. The 20 songs that actually works, that you know that they're going to work on that kind of party. If you have a kid party, Barbie Girl is going to work, you know? You know that it's going to work. Benga Voice, whatever, right? It worked. So use your experience, try new things, and based on that, I think it'll be easier for you to read whatever party you're doing. If it is a wedding, of course, you're not going to play kid music, right? You're going to base your experience, try new things, and see what it works, and save it.
And I like to pay attention to the people as they come in, right? So you know who the party people are just by the way they walk in the door. And I give them a whole bunch of attention. So I like to, let's talk about a wedding or a ceremony or anything like that. All right, table 6 is a VIP table. I see y'all are ready to party. Y'all came to dance, you know, and just talking to them through the initial part and watching people who they chair dance. Chair dancing is big for me. So, you know, the person that's shy, but they just can't keep themselves still, right? So as you catch the vibe of what starts to move people mentally, like you say, know your music. Okay, they like that. What goes with that? What year was that? What genre was that? What energy level is that? And then you start to pull people to the floor. And you tell them, all I need is 1 or 2 people to get this thing started, and it never fails. You get the 2 crazy people that came together that haven't been out to party in like 15 years. They get out there and start being wild, and it attracts the rest of the dance floor.
And I'm not going to don't mean to be sexist about this, but if you can get the ladies to dance.
Oh, that's real.
Like, I will play Britney Spears. I'll play whatever the ladies like, because then the guys will follow. So it's like, I play a lot of stuff that's just like, that the women like, and it's if you can get them out there, then everybody else, you almost like a spark. If you can get a couple of them to spark out there and just, oh my gosh, they love this, and it might be the corniest or the most cliche song, but it'll work, trust me.
And don't feel like you need to educate them, if that makes sense. So you're playing a specific genre, and no, I need to teach them that this is what they need to hear. You know, there are DJs that do that. You know, no, I'm going to educate you on this genre. You're going to listen to it. You're going to like it. You know, and there's some DJs that do that.
Cool. All right, so Adam, how does your mixing style change between mixing for mobile gigs versus like your club gig?
For mobile gigs, I almost do little blocks, especially for, most of the mobile gigs, weddings, corporate events, there's always a variety of people. So I do my genres for the mobile gigs in blocks of 15 to 20 minutes. And then, so it's hip hop, and then it goes disco, and then it goes funk, and then and I try the BPMs to kind of gradually go up and down, because hip hop's in the 90s, and then you got your top 40s is in the 120s, and your upbeat stuff. So I kind of in waves, so that way you don't have too many people sitting for too long. That's how you start getting people coming up and requesting and complaining. Because if you stick to disco, yeah, maybe doing great, but don't be afraid to tone it down and then switch it. They'll take a break, and then the people who like hip hop will come up. And then if you switch that to, then you go to top 40, then or 80s, flashback stuff. It's okay to just give them a couple of 15, 20 minutes and then just change it. It's they're gonna sit down and then somebody else, or the energy will just keep going. And that's something that's very important, because if not, then you're gonna have people come up to you and they're gonna be constantly like, oh, can you play this? Can you? And then you're gonna start getting like, oh, I'm not doing a good job. So don't be afraid to change up, even if it's drastic. Figure out a way to kind of use the tempo. There's so many different tools now with the technology now compared to let's say vinyl. Like it's so much easier to transition into stuff with the technology that we have now. And so that's something with mobile gigs. For clubs, it's very the beats are more, I guess, consistent. Mm-hmm. So there's not much variety. But for club stuff, underground stuff, I do like to change it up a little bit, but I do keep the tempo about the same. But don't be afraid to just go from one genre to another. It'll keep everybody happy. It'll keep the overall energy up.
And the good thing about music now is a lot of songs take samples from other songs. Yeah. So that's your natural transition right now. Yep. You can go, man, a lot of the same producers are now being used in multiple genres. You can go from disco and funk into hip hop. Hip hop, you could take the same beat and run it into pop. It's very, very easy to transition and take people through the journey. And I think our music listeners are having a more diverse musical palette too. So to your point, I think it's easier now for those open format DJs to just kind of take them on a journey and keep everybody interested. And if all else fails, go back to the 90s. You'll do just fine.
Yeah. Louis, how do you deal with negative feedback during a gig?
I don't know that there is such a thing as negative feedback. Feedback, I take it as an opportunity to correct and see if I can find them wherever they are. If I take my pride out of the way and realize I am in the service industry, it's my job to make whatever it is right. So just listen to whatever it is they have to offer, see if I can fix it, apologize, of course, and do my best to make it right one way or the other.
Makes sense. Ray, presentation and look of your rig is really important, right? What are some of the most effective ways to broadcast your professionalism and your fun? Visually.
Visually, yes. Suit up, first of all. I'm pretty big on presentation in terms of the way you look. Everything comes from first, side, right? Whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. The way you look, the way you show yourself. So when it comes to equipment, just cables, anything, try to hide it, put a little tape, doesn't matter. Besides, it can be a trip hazard or something like that, you can be sued. But talking about presentations, do your best to keep it clean. Yourself too. Wedding, suit up.
Suit up.
Yes. 100%. Quinceañeras, Sweet 16, why not? Try to do your best. Presentation. Don't go with the hat, things like that. The way you show yourself, the way you present your equipment, the way you sound. You don't have to be a professional sound engineer to sound good, It can be, especially with the today's equipment. But of course, you don't want to sound like super loud and horrible. So do your best. Put your time. Be early. Presentation is huge. I don't use tables anymore. I do furniture. I have a furniture. And the first thing that I came out, everybody is like, oh, I love the way it looks. It's a furniture and it has a mirror and it has a television on it. It took me a lot of time. I built it. But it's a good presentation. Doesn't mean that I'm professional. Doesn't mean that I'm the best DJ in there. But it looks good. So people think you're a professional. Right. The equipment too, like I used turntables, right? Doesn't mean that I know how to scratch. I don't know how to scratch. But people look at it, how it looks, super cool, right?
You're really DJing.
Hell yeah, right?
So Louis, can you define for the audience what emceeing is and how it might vary for you from gig to gig?
So emceeing is controlling the energy of the crowd. Wherever you want to take them, the music does part of the work, but your mic control does the rest of it, right? So you can get somebody involved through the microphone who may not be self-motivated to get out and dance. You can drive people to the bar. You control everything up there. And because you have the microphone, you get to help people celebrate those special events through words. You can ask for help. Because I don't know how many DJs have experienced where I'm dying up here. I can't find the crowd. So you just verbally say, hey, next hour is all requests, right? So you just start getting people, you engage your audience however you can to get them motivated. And again, read the crowd, because you can talk too much, or you can talk not enough. So you just start to talk, you see how they respond, and if you'll get the eyes when people don't approve. So just find that sweet spot and stay there.
And your tone of voice too sometimes.
Tone of voice.
Confidence.
Yeah.
You have to make sure when you speak into the microphone that you exude like you know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing. For weddings, I had about one or two little, not necessarily games, but a thing, audience participation. That, for some reason, everyone loves that. And there was this thing that I'd always do, and I'd bring out the bride and groom, and then I'd have a whole thing. But you start commanding people, and they'll do it. Like they don't know if you're shy or anything. But if you are like, okay, everybody, we're going to do this, people will be like, okay, let's do it. They will obey your command. You have the microphone, you have the power, and just know that nobody's going to think anything different, or nobody knows if you're shy. Trust me. If you are, hey, everybody gather around, bride and groom, come here, and they'll do it without question. If you give the bride and groom a heads up, it sometimes helps, but sometimes I like to spring it on them. But if you can find a couple of one or two activities that kind of stop everything and bring everybody, whether it be the electric slide or some other little corny things, make sure that it's okay with the bride and groom, because I've had some where they don't want no corny anything. So you got to be aware of those types. But for the most part, once they start drinking and getting loose, they don't mind doing, because it makes memories. Because whether it be the chicken, I haven't done the chicken dance in a long time, but you'd be surprised. So, I've done it before where I was like, okay, I'll do it, and then everybody got out there and everybody was just wiggling their hands, and it's just like, okay, cool, that was good, and that actually gives you a break.
Yes.
And as a female, my microphone voice is definitely different than my normal speaking voice. I bring my voice down. He was saying about not talking too much. All I have to say is Grimes at Coachella. If you know what I'm talking about, you understand. It's okay if you make a mistake and you can kind of laugh about it maybe with the crowd. But, don't shriek into the microphone, especially for females. And, accidents do happen. Sometimes when you're DJing, you can call it out maybe once. But, don't get up there and keep apologizing to people. Nobody wants to hear that either. And that's something, truly this, my microphone voice, people laugh at me because, I have a more cartoony voice when I'm not on the microphone, very high-pitched, and I try to bring it down.
Great tips. So that kind of leads me to my next question, and it's actually for you, Robin. How do you amp up the crowd but don't sound cheesy?
I actually sound cheesy sometimes, and I'm not afraid to do it. How do I amp up the crowd? I'll say certain things sometimes that are kind of funny. I'll say, oh, you need a little liquid courage. I'll say things like that once in a while, to get people to kind of laugh. If I'm doing a gig, I did a bunch of Easter gigs. Again, these were for families and stuff. So I'm like, isn't that extra special? That kind of thing. I am a little bit cheesy, but people appreciate that. They laugh, they see I'm real, and that I'm interacting with them. If it seems like people are just kind of doing their thing, sometimes I'll say, I'll stop things and say, tell the person next to you what you want for Christmas, or whatever it might be. I try to make it interactive. That's the thing. If they feel like they're interacting with you, they feel like they're a part of the whole event. So I do get cheesy sometimes, I admit it, and but at the same time I try to still keep it professional.
People like
Great.
cheese.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to take a darker turn. Ray, describe a disaster that happened to you at one of these gigs, and how did you recover from it?
I can name you 100. Yeah. Last one. Computer crash. Yeah, and they can tell you, oh, you need to get another extra computer. Yeah, but in that moment, there's probably 2 minutes where it's silence, and do your best. Accident happen all the time. Yes, literally, party was great. 30 minutes to end. Computer just crash. And we're talking about a really, really expensive and good laptop. It still happened. What other thing? A speaker. One time, one of the speakers blew out too. Disaster completely. Oh, power. Yes, party in San Diego. Huge house party, but like millionaire house. The power was not enough, so the lighting was not working. The computer was not charging, and all I can see, everything is power on, and all I can see, the computer is going 25%, 20%. 50%. What's going on? Until you realize that the power was not enough, and luckily we were able to change and get another outlet, and it was a success. 20, 25, 30 years of career, shit is gonna happen all the time.
It's about knowing what to do when it does happen, right?
The good thing is, like, based on your experience, or the more that you do this, the more that you can like pick it up before, or try to fix it in the moment as best as you can. But it's gonna happen all the time, just like your music. Nobody's a perfect DJ, and everybody's different. You're still gonna crash. There's gonna be parties that nobody dance, or they're not that good. It's gonna happen. Do your best.
I was going to say, if you have a fog machine, do not put it on the same circuit as your sound.
Ooh-wee.
Fog machines
Sparkle machine.
are the most hungry energy devices. They probably drain more energy than 2 tops and a sub. That's how much energy. So if you're going to do a fog machine, make sure you have extension cords, and make sure it's hard to know what circuit's on what. Right. Sometimes you can ask, and sometimes the people in charge of the venue will know, oh, this whole wall is this circuit. But always ask. But if you're going to if they want a fog machine, or if you have a fog machine and lots of lights, make sure do not put the fog machine with your sound gear.
It's a good tip. Cool.
And I would just say, know your equipment, because like with technology now, we're doing a lot more digital. If you have the whole left side of your deck fail, I mean, you've got to know how to run it from one deck, slide the track over to the other deck, and you're just mixing on one side. I mean, whatever, just practice with your equipment.
Also, quick for feedback, a little trick, and I've showed people, and they'd be like, they didn't know, I thought everybody knew, but turn down the bass. If you're going to be a lot of talking, if you have a subwoofer, just turn it off. I mean, you don't need it, especially if people are talking. And if you're going to be talking in the dance floor, and the microphone happens to have a level for the bass, just turn it down about half of that, and it helps tremendously with feedback.
I learned that one at a recent gig. So here's another question for the group, and I don't want to get into details, just raise your hand. Has anyone had to file a DJ insurance claim? No? You guys all fortunate? Awesome. Good. Okay. All right, so now we're transitioning over into talking more about the music itself that we choose to DJ at these mobile gigs. Ray, when you're thinking about becoming a mobile DJ, from maybe say a club DJ or a bedroom DJ, like the folks in our audience, the idea of building a music library that expands through everything is like super scary and daunting, right? How do you just chip away at that? How do you approach that? It's been a while, right, since you had to think about that.
It's kind of hard for me to on that question, because I basically started as a mobile DJ. That's what my experience. Since I was 15, I've been doing quinceañeras and weddings, working behind. I was the guy with the speakers. I was the one plugging lights. So I kind of like built my library already being a mobile DJ. I will say, just like I said before, if you're thinking to start mobile DJing, just go and listen to other DJs. Listen what they play. Listen what kind of music they have. Don't be afraid if you have to do a notes. I've been doing notes. I remember me being 18 years old, going to a wedding, and everybody was dancing. This DJ was good. I had a whole list of every single song that he was playing. You know, doesn't matter. Who cares, right? You're building your own music. So go listen to other DJs if you can, or go work to another companies if you can. And based on that, you see what kind of music works, what kind of music do you need. Because it's not electronic music. You're not going to use any electronic music.
Nope.
Let's be honest. 2, 3, 4 songs max. No more than that. Totally different. So highly suggest, yes, go around, listen to other DJs so you can know. And he say he has 4 different websites where you get your music. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I only have one, and I use YouTube. I download music from YouTube. Just why not? There's some especially here in California, you got weddings, Middle Eastern weddings. How are you gonna get that music? You know, YouTube. Samoan parties. We did some Samoan parties. Sorry, I don't know nothing about Samoan culture. I download my music from YouTube. So yeah, you can pay some places, website, and you get your pop music, your electronic, your hip hop, and you get clean versions, dirty versions. They're $20, $30. They're not that expensive. You invest some money, and you get your extended versions, you know, your a cappella and all that. But when it comes to mobile DJ and open format, where you're gonna play a little bit of everything, yeah, you're probably gonna have to use YouTube a lot too to download your music.
And considering how much every gig I would repeat my music, like I would play the same ones over and over. Don't be afraid to copy, like he was saying. Don't be afraid to copy another DJ. It's you're going to end up playing the same stuff that everybody likes,
and
over,
it works
over and over, and it works.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
As you go through, I use an iPad, right? So requests can be fun. So as I'm playing, requests really mess with my flow. So what I have done is I set up an Excel spreadsheet. No, I use OneNote. I use OneNote on my iPad. They come up to give me a request. I turn the iPad around and just tell them to type it. Now I have a running list of songs that worked at this gig, and you'll start to see a pattern of the stuff that's really, really getting people going. So that's another way I build my playlist.
Also, Serato has DJ playlist on there. Sometimes you can get some ideas for some songs and mixes that you never would have thought about putting together. And I use DJ City as well, and they also have just generated a new playlist format as well. So you can get some ideas off of that. But, I like to try to be creative on my own and not just use, but it is helpful to guide you on some of the songs.
Yeah, DJ City is great, and it gives you some lists too. The only problem that I see with that is that some DJs are based on Miami or New York, and it's not the same exactly, but you can get ideas, just like you say, the things that you work, that you see that it might work or not. That you be familiar when you see those titles and you see those songs. Yeah, I heard that. High school, they work, and you notice, what they use or not.
And use the music services too, right? Spotify, Apple Music,
Totally.
Amazon Music. Go on there and find out what playlist they're running. Hot tracks for this week. Take a look at it. Go find your
top
version.
40s.
Yep,
top 40s.
That's almost guaranteed.
Yeah, Billboard. Just use your Billboard. Not every song in Billboard is gonna be good for a party.
For a party, right?
But it give you a good idea of the top 20 songs. Okay, from those top 20, you might use 3 that is really good. They're top 20 for a reason, right? People listen to. Yeah, go over there and listen. Shazam, they have the list too. The top Shazam songs that people catch. Well, that will tell you something, right? People is trying to get that song. Why? Because it's popular. Put it on your list.
A question for the group. Don't give it too much thought. Just say the first song that pops into your head as your go-to song for any occasion. Lewis.
Anything too short.
Too short.
Gosh.
Taking too long. Giving it way too much thought. What's the first thing?
been a while. Justin, I like Justin.
For
Timberlake
any
stuff.
kind of like
Justin
event?
Timberlake?
Yeah.
Cool.
24 Karat Magic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bruno Mars.
Ah, Jesus. I was gonna say Danza Kuduro. It works all the time.
There
but
you go. Yeah.
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 The other Bruno Mars.
Wedding September.
September.
You can't go wrong with
Absolutely,
September.
September's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Similar question. Are there any songs that you refuse to play?
Metallica. I've had somebody request me that. I was just like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Depends on the
Refuse
party,
to
yeah.
play. I don't know if we're still doing this, but R. Kelly has been banned right now. So yeah, anything R. Kelly we're staying away from.
The chicken dance. I hate that song.
Chicken dance.
You shared one with me earlier today that is a terrible request song. Remember?
Bohemian Rhapsody, worst request ever.
Only at the very
Love
end.
the song.
You can do it at
Worst
the very
request for a
end.
party.
Yeah.
You can't play that song in a party.
It's not dancey.
End of the night.
And it goes up and down. It's like a roller coaster. It goes from opera to rock to no. What do you do? And the only play for me personally, a personal opinion, the only part that I can actually play is the rock part at the end, and it's only like 30 seconds. How do you mix that? I mean, you can mix it, but then like you gotta
It's gonna
prepare
sound rough.
something. Yeah, it's tough.
It's more of an ending song where
Yes. It
everybody's
is.
drunk
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody just wants to sing and hug and it's just, and
And
then
you're
that's it,
wrapping
then the
up
party's
cables.
over. Yes. Yeah, you just push play. It's a 6-minute song, right?
Yeah.
So you
Right.
hit play and then you start unplugging stuff and let the crowd just do whatever they want.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
What about you, Robin? Anything you refuse to play?
I mean, anything that's just too vulgar. I mean, you know, there's a certain point where, you know, what are we doing here?
Lewis, in today's day and age, are record pools still useful? You kind of touched on similar services.
I absolutely use record pools because, I mean, again, I started in the 80s. It was every Tuesday and Saturday, Tuesday after school and Saturday mornings. We're in the record stores digging through crates, just trying to find new music. Back then, we prided ourselves on playing music before any other DJ, having a whole crate of records that nobody else has. It wasn't about playing what was popular on the radio. We would white label records so nobody else knew what songs we were playing. So I still use the record pools in that way. I will find music that's popular, but I also like exclusive remixes, right? So you can, like we talked about the shower playlist. You can find music that people like to sing to, but there's an upbeat version to it. So you still give the people what they want and have them move their feet. So I absolutely use record pools for all of that.
Makes sense.
I missed the record pool.
Yeah.
That was a good subscription I had when trying to collect music that does not so much so with the underground stuff.
Yeah. So
BPM Supreme, Club Killers, Franchise Record Pool, and I forget the other one, but
Is
yeah,
MP3? I don't know if it's still around.
I'm not familiar with
Okay.
that one. Yeah.
So just to give the audience a little history, record pools traditionally was a service that you would subscribe to via postal, and then they would ship you physical records that they hand selected, and they would send it to all their DJs, and you can give them feedback, which ones you like. You can send some back. You can maybe you keep some. The records themselves usually say for promotional DJ use only on them, and it was this like very handcrafted service. It was like DJs for DJs basically, and you would pay a subscription for that. So obviously today we're not quite doing it that way. It's a little bit more digital, right? And but it's still essentially the same service. Adam, on the topic of requests, what makes a good request and what makes a bad request?
Metallica's a bad request.
Why?
It's not necessarily a dance song. It's more of a head, whatever it may be. So you'll get your request of somebody who really loves this whatever type of genre, and you have to be discernful as to whether people will like it or not. This one person may like it, and that's they're right. It's great. It's not a bad song. It's just once you get to know and with experience how people react. That, when you play a song and it just clears everybody, you will remember that and you will never do it again. So it's one of those things where it's suggestive, but at the same time, as a DJ and as the fact that you have your 4 hours or whatever it is, your limited time, and stopping the energy is just, that's the worst feeling in the world.
It's hard to get them back.
Yeah, and the other request that is kind of, I guess, annoying for me sometimes is if I do play a hip hop set or whatever genre set, and then I change it, and all of a sudden, those people that like that are like, the dance floor could still be full, and they're gonna come up and say, "Can you play some more hip hop?" And it's just like, I just finished.
Yeah,
and
nobody wants to.
Everybody's dancing. Like, it's not like it's empty, but they are like, they look at you like, you just ruined the party, but like the dance floor is full. Mm-hmm. So those requests, you just have to take with a light heart. I'll get back to it, because remember, I like to keep it a little bit here, not because if you do like an hour of anything, it's just too much, especially where you have such a diverse crowd. So take it, you tell them, oh, I'll get back to it. You'll have requests where you're playing something at 120, and they're like, depending on how they perceive it, it's very weird how people, oh, can you play something with a beat, and it's a really good beat. It's just like, I wonder what they think a beat means, because it's really good right now. Everybody's dancing, but they don't like it, so they come up to you all upset, and I want something with a beat. So requests could be very suggestive. It's very opinionated. It's everyone's personal opinion, so you don't get too like butthurt, if you want to call it, when they could make you feel like you're not doing a good job. But just trust your guts, trust your instincts. If the dance floor is full, you're just gonna have to be nice to the people. Sometimes if you already know you're going to play something, and this is a little trick of mine, and they request it, they're like, you just tell them, I got you, I'll get that one for you, even though you already know that's already on the list. But then they'll think, it'll make them feel special. They're like, oh, he's playing it for me. So, or if you already know it's going to come up eventually, and you can kind of incorporate it as the next song, and they requested it, but you already know at some point in the dance you're going to play it next. It'll make them feel so special that you're going to play it, and you're going to play it anyways. But if you play it soon after that they request it, they're going to love you for it.
And you might get a tip for it.
Yeah, that too. Oh yeah.
Take a tip jar to every
Yes.
gig. Every gig.
Good tips.
See what you did there. That was...
Robin, how to keep up with the latest music, the ones that the kids are listening to that you feel so distant from generationally and culturally? Like, how do you find that stuff?
I mean, both of my daughters are in their 20s, so typically I kind of listen to what they're listening to. My one daughter's definitely very much into anime and Japanese type music and K-pop and different types of things that I would never even have a clue, but I listen, I pay attention, I ask her sometimes. She requests things, so I pay attention to the things she requests. I love to listen to Mint on Spotify because it's usually whatever like the hottest things are out right now too. I do go on the Billboard. I look to see some of the music I don't even understand right now, but it is what it is. I try to weave it in. I know you said take any gig. Sometimes there are some gigs I just know I probably would not do the best service for that party for whatever reason, but I try to stay current just by watching TikTok. Obviously, you can hear what's hot on TikTok. There's even TikTok playlists that you can go and look up. So those are probably the main places that I look for that type of music. Country, is not my strongest genre, but I pay attention to the country, the country billboards as well.
Does anyone have an experience or started DJing by streaming from the cloud? Is anyone brave enough to open that door yet? Look at all these faces shaking.
Not.
Yeah, that's my fear too. Like everyone, they build it. There's technology to do it, but it seems like such a huge risk, right, to someone's special day. And I'm just curious if any, how is it used? Club DJs seem to love it or talk about it, but if this is your like high-paying gigs, would you rely on that? And personally, I wouldn't. It seems like you guys are all the same.
The difference that I see with club DJs is that they already have a set or it's only 20 songs versus a mobile DJ that we play 300 songs probably in one night. Mm-hmm. Club DJ is a 6-minute song and they already have one pen drive. That's it. Or like you say, we need to have music for every occasion, anything that can happen, or any person who can ask a song, request. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I think I trust the technology, right? If you have a stable internet connection. For me, I like to have my music in my pocket. So if for some reason that service goes under, you no longer have access to that music. I would prefer to download it, own it, and that way I have it for forever.
Good point.
And then with a crowd, you always have bandwidth issues because you have 100, 200 people that are on their cell phones streaming, TikToking, Instagramming, sending videos, and so that lowers bandwidth.
Okay, so we're almost to the end. So thank you guys all for joining us today. A couple quick wrap-up questions are, what is one tip you've heard from another person on the panel that you might adopt into your workflow? We'll start with Lewis and we'll work our way down. So start thinking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So I use a Ford Expedition extended cab, right? But if I need any more equipment, I'm calling somebody else to help me.
Good one.
So again,
Always open, always.
Build your tribe and don't afraid to write someone an invoice and just call. I am absolutely going to call for those who bring big rigs and things like that because I am limited to what I can fit in my truck. So thank you.
Well handled.
Anytime.
Cool. All right, Robin, what is something you've learned from one of the other panelists that you would like to take?
I am writing down thumbtack as soon as we're done with this, and
Wedding wire.
wedding wire. I think you had mentioned, I don't know if it was before this or while we were on the panel because we've been here for a while, how you were talking about connecting the
Yes.
was that before or after? I can't.
That was
even
before.
remember.
That was going to be my
Before.
comment.
Oh
Man,
yeah. Do you want to share
microphone.
it? You want to share or no?
that was
No
a good.
problem.
That was a really
it's
good
not a big
idea.
secret. So because I do these real estate events, and usually it's every single weekend, and it's 3 days event for 150 people, 200 people. They do classes and they talk for 6-7 hours. They have a speaker giving a class. So microphone can be tricky, and that's one thing on mobile DJ is huge for weddings as well. For anything, microphone can be tricky. You don't want to hit this, right?
Yeah.
That was really good.
Oh, that's scary.
That was
It's horrible. So one little trick that I was sharing with the panel right here is that I put my bass right next to it and I run Ethernet cable, and basically the Ethernet transfer the data into so XLRs. So it goes from XLRs to Ethernet, from Ethernet to XLRs, and you can have your bass 150, and it's only like $20. That's one thing that I was sharing, and it's pretty safe, and it saves you a lot of
There you go.
problems with the
So-
the connection.
So instead of having a 100-foot XLR, you can do it with the Ethernet and some adapters?
Well, here's the thing: if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 microphones, you don't need 5 XLRs,
Oh, that's-
150.
okay.
You just need one Ethernet cable.
really?
That's it.
I'll have to ask you about that.
That Ethernet cable can literally go to 100 microphones, different
Yeah,
microphones.
I think XLR starts to degrade after 100 feet, right? So Ethernet's a much stronger technology.
Is there a hub that? Well, we're getting to.
There's a converter. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
all
use,
right.
yes. And they're really cheap too, so they're really good.
And then Adam?
Geez, that was a good one there. Microphones is probably one of the most stressed because you want wireless, and it is definitely don't chintz on that. Like, Shure is one of the better brands, and because if somebody's giving a speech and it starts doing that, everyone's looking at you. Like, so his trick with the Ethernet. I have a trick. I made a little stand on top of my speakers, and I'd put the microphones on top. So if you can get height, that gives you better coverage. Sometimes bodies line of sight is it blocks the signal. I've had people with a body pack, and when they turn this way and the microphone's over here, and now their body's in the way, it actually causes some kind of interference. So his trick was to bring the bass to, And my trick is to put it on top. I've heard from a radio guy. He does a lot of ham radio and stuff. If you can mount the antennas high, that actually helps. So, yeah, his trick, if I were to ever get back into mobile DJing, I'd probably that's a good one.
Great, great. Okay, last question for you guys. Sum up what makes a good, successful mobile DJ into one word. We're going to start with Adam this time to give Lewis a break.
Professionalism. And
Just one word.
that's it.
Versatile.
Organized.
Passion.
Awesome.
That was good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. That was a really good panel. Thank you. Thank our panelists, the audience, the city of Santa Ana for co-sponsoring this event, Mimi of Pizza Press for hosting this, and all of our amazing community. Thank you guys so much for being a part of
Our
this.
pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, and another thing. Thank you, Dean, for teching the show.
Yes,
He's handling the
Dean.
stream, doing all the sound checking, filming. He's been on the camera the whole time, so couldn't do this alone without him. Let's see. Okay, so just opening it out to the audience. Is there anything specific? We don't have a whole ton of time for questions, but is there anything you wanted to ask or run into that we haven't covered?
All right, I was just going to ask, do you guys use a lot of mashups to help you transition different genres?
I do my own mashups for the most part.
I don't do a lot, but I do use a couple that I know that it works. You have those specific songs that you know they work, but not a lot.
I'll typically do songs with transitions. So you're at 128, take it down to 70 or something like that. That'll help me instead of a mashup.
Mashups, I don't. They got to be very specific because basically the mashups are song specific. So it's very restraining. So I really didn't use a whole bunch. I would just incorporate a vibe, I guess, or a feel, and sometimes even use the wide range of the pitch control.
There's one famous that I've seen a lot of DJs using it. I Want to Dance with Somebody. That is a mashup with Rihanna. It's not only Girl in the War. It's one of those. That mashup I've seen in every single wedding. It works all the time.
Cool, cool. Any other questions from the audience? Go ahead and take the mic from Steve. This is Destiny from our classes.
Hi, my name is
Hello.
Destiny. So my question is, how do you know when you can fully invest into DJing versus having to keep your day job?
It depends on where you are in your career, I guess. Golly.
How do you know when is the time like to transition from like quit your job and go full-time DJ? Well, that depends on how much work do you have, how many leads you have, and where is your heart. If you think you can do it, here's the thing: anything that you can do and you put your heart and your time, you'll be successful. Doesn't matter what you do. You can be a mother, put your time and your heart, and you'll be a really good mother. This is the same as a DJ. If you want to be a full-time DJ, you're gonna have to pull a lot of time. Besides the money, right? Besides the money, it's a lot of time because DJs not only do a list and know how to mix. Actually, I think that's only 5%. I will say that 80% is the selection of music. Very, personal opinion. But it comes to sales, it comes to marketing, it comes to how you present yourself, what kind of equipment. There's a lot. It's a lot of time. When it's time, it's been 25 years for me, and I'm still have my full-time job, both at the same time. You can do both.
I guess it depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to live.
That's it right there.
If you want a big house and nice cars, it's probably going to be a little rough. But if you can live a little modestly, you can probably DJ all you want and be happy.
Yeah, so that's the question, right? Do you want to be famous?
Yeah.
Do you want to be rich? Or do you want to enjoy what you do?
Yeah.
Because all that makes a difference as
yeah.
far as what kind of gigs you make, kind of gigs you take,
Yeah.
and how much you're going to make from it. So totally up to you. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live?
Great answers.
Thank you.
So, just to add to that, we have 4 professionals up here who are very successful at what they do, but none of them quit their day jobs, right? So there's that, right? But then you have me, crazy me, who did quit my day job, right, to do this. I'm in a very unique situation where I was able to do it, and it took a lot of planning in my corporate life before this to be able to do that. So I don't expect everyone to be able to do that, especially in their earlier stages of life, right? So the answer is going to be different for everybody, but they had a really good point about lifestyle, right? For me, my lifestyle is very simple. I, keep my expenses real low, and that's how I'm able to do what I do.
Yeah, I retired from corporate America last year after 25 years with the same company. So my retirement pays my bills. DJing sustains
the
my
fun
lifestyle.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's my gas money.
Cool. Any other questions from the audience? No? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, once again. Go down the line. How do people, find out more about you? How do they book you for their event? Promote your business, whatever you want to do. This is your opportunity.
All my socials, you can find me at DJ Screwface Official. You can find me everywhere. DJ Screwface Official, Instagram, Amazon Music. You can go out and catch my sample mixes and things like that. Just search for me.
There was already a DJ Screwface that you had to grab the official, right?
Well, yes. Boy, did that take a minute. Yes.
For me, it's www.djray.com.
Oh, and it's DJ DEER.
DEJAYRAY.com.
Yeah.
I'm pretty simple. I just use Instagram at this point, and it's DJ Robin Social.
And me, it's just mostly underground stuff and heavy, high-end sound. But it's just in my name, Adam Paz, on Instagram.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody, and that's it. This was awesome.
Thank you.